Hello and welcome to the Vision Vocation Network. My name is Curtis and this is part 2 of our Vision Community Sponsors and Advertisers tutorial. In part 1 I explained how to access your account in the Advertiser area, so we'll assume that you already are logged in and ready to work on your match profile. If not, simply go to the Advertiser login on the Vision website, and once you are logged in, click on the Match Profile tab. In this part I'm going to show you how to create and or update your community's Vocation Match profile. So let's begin. Click on the Match Profile tab and then click the button labeled Match Profile Editor. This brings us to the Match Profile Instructions page. Here you should see your name or the name of the person who has registered with Vision as your primary contact. And if you wish to fill out your profile in Spanish, there is a link here to change to Spanish. Si prefiere llenar su perfil en español, hay un vínculo aquí para cambiar el idioma. There is a brief description of two powerful tools that Vocation Match offers you: the importance slider and the response required setting. I'll go over these in more detail in a bit, but just remember that if you need a refresher, this information is here on the instructions page. If you scroll down, you will see a log of who has access to your profile and when. We call this the Profile Update History. It can be useful if more than one person in your community has access to and is modifying your community profile. You can read the completion status of your match profile here. Note that the profile for my test community currently has 78% of the questions answered. Our goal today is to take you from 0, or whatever your current percent complete is, to 100%. You and the discerner will receive more accurate matches if you answer more questions. The logic we've built into this system works with only a few questions answered, critical ones like gender and age. But as you can imagine, the more questions both you and the discerner answer, the better the match. So if you want the most from your Vision sponsorship, then by all means answer all the questions to the best of your ability and review your answers periodically. Clicking the printer icon will open your existing profile in a printer-friendly format, so you can make a hard copy or print to PDF. If you click on the envelope icon, you will be prompted to enter an email address, and when you click the Send Profile button, your match profile will be sent to that address. Click on the blue link above these two icons to begin editing your profile. We are now viewing the response page for question number 2. Question number 1 is skipped because it does not require your input. It's a question to ask the discerner why they are taking the match questionnaire. Let's go over the basic elements of a question page. At the top you will find your name and that of your community. Below that you will see the progress bar, which is used to navigate the questionnaire. It contains previous and next buttons to move one page to the left and right. In the center of the bar, each dot represents one question. A white dot is an unanswered question and a green dot has been answered. You can see that I have already answered most of the questions. You can use the dots to navigate directly to a question by hovering over the dot to confirm the name, number of the question you wish to jump to, and then clicking the dot. I'm going to jump to question 6, Education. Note that the name and number of the current question is contained in the purple box below the progress bar. Also below the progress bar we find the question text in the upper left box. Read this carefully, as this details the answers that discerners will read. If you wish to know what the discerner will be asked, their question is displayed in the box to the right. Every question contains a response required selector in the right column. This is an important feature that helps you get the answers you need before you consider a candidate. We recommend that you use this feature judiciously, as requiring too many questions to be answered may result in you not receiving queries from potential candidates. Note that requiring that questions be answered will not prevent a discerner from contacting you or sending their profile, but they will see a note like this next to your match results listing if there are required questions that they have not answered. Remember, your best contact with the discerner is in the personal interview. This is just the first step in the screening process, so don't be too restrictive. We advise that you mark no more than 8 to 10 questions as required. In the lower left corner of the question box is the importance slider, a powerful feature that we added in this most recent version of Vocation Match. This control allows you to fine-tune the list of match questions to suit your community's needs by giving you control over the importance of one question versus another. You can assign an importance of 0 to 4 for a question, with 0 being irrelevant, that is to say, the discerner's answer to the question does not matter to your community, and 4 being crucial, meaning that you are very keen on the discerner answering that question in a certain way. For example, in this case, I have marked the education question as being somewhat important, with the slider in the second position. This means that, although I have noted my preferred answer to the question in the answer box above, I'm not strict on demanding that a discerner have that precise answer. So in my case, if a discerner marks that they have only a high school education, I will show up on their list of matches, though further down on their list than communities that have checked the high school box. And that discerner will be able to contact me if they wish. If I were to move the slider to the highest setting, crucial, that means that I insist that a discerner match my answer exactly before contacting me. In this case, the discerner who has only a high school diploma would not see my community on their list of match results, and therefore would be screened from sending me their profile. If you move the importance slider to the leftmost position, irrelevant, you will see from the pop-up that the question has been removed from the match calculation process. And no matter how a discerner answers the question, your community will be a perfect match for that question. So you can see that you are able to finally control the types of responses you receive from discerners using the importance slider. As with the results required question, we suggest that you use this judiciously to avoid screening out candidates that you might really want to talk to. Not all questions have an importance slider. For example, if we jump to question 12, vocations, you will not see the importance slider. This is because it is a question describing your community, a fact or a condition, and it is not a question that you can assign an importance to. In this case, the discerner will have an importance slider, allowing them to adjust how important it is to them that a community match their answer. In this case, a discerner that has checked priest order and marked it as crucial will not match with my community because I do not offer that vocation. If, however, they were to give it an importance level of 2 or 3, my community would show up on their match results list even though I have not checked priest order in my profile. The final element of the question page is the tips link on the bottom right. Click it for ideas on how to improve your profile. Okay, we've covered the basic page elements. Now we're going to cover a few of the more critical or unusual questions. Let's start with the gender question. This is pretty basic, but I just want to say that you can check either male or female or both. As would be expected, it's normal to require that this question be answered, but it's not important that you check it as such, because the discerner cannot proceed to any other match questions until they've answered this one. The age question is unique in that it has 2 sliders for you to designate your preferences. The top slider is where you note the upper and lower age limits for your ideal candidate. That is to say, if people are pounding on your door to join your community and you can be as picky as you want to be. But in case you're not experiencing a bumper crop of discerners, we offer you a second slider to specify a wider range of candidates with whom you are willing to talk about vocations. We call this the acceptable candidate slider. Again, use this judiciously. As the note says, those who fall outside the acceptable range will not be able to send you their match profiles. Now, let's discuss the I live in and residency questions, 7 and 8. Question 7 asks in what country the discerner lives, and is to help improve your community's ranking with discerners who live in your chosen countries. Answering yes will score exact matches with discerners who live in that country, or those countries if you mark more than one. An answer of maybe will not eliminate discerners who live in the country in question, but your community will likely appear lower down on their list of match results as being an inexact match for this question. As with similar questions, you can use your preference slider to control whether you accept non-exact matches. To exclude discerners who live in certain countries, mark those countries as no. Mark the acceptable countries as yes, and set your preferential slider to crucial. Note that due to the limited range of available options for this question, you may still receive profiles from discerners who live in parts of the world not covered by this question. We are at work on developing an improved version of the regional questions to meet Vocation Match's increasingly international appeal, and we ask your patience until the new version is operational. Question 8 is similar to question 7. It asks in which country or countries the discerner has legal residency, and can be used to improve your community's ranking with matching discerners on that basis. Choose Essential to match exactly with discerners who have legal residency in the country or countries you select, and set your preference slider to Crucial to help narrow down the matches. As with the live-in question, an upcoming version of this question will better serve the growing base of international discerners and communities. Until the new version is available, however, you may still occasionally receive profiles from overseas discerners to whom none of the available options apply, and we apologize for this inconvenience. And now the language question. Do not mark two languages as being essential unless you insist that a candidate speak both languages. You will not match with a candidate that does not explicitly check those two languages as their proficiency. The ministry location question is pretty straightforward, but let's go over it just in case. This is where you note all the places where your people live and minister. It is set up so that higher level region checkboxes trump the lower level ones. So if I click Asia, for example, note how all the countries and regions I've previously checked for Asia turn gray because they are encompassed by the Asia region. So you can specify countries where you minister, or you can specify entire regions. Okay, last item, the always difficult habit question. As a result of consultation with a selection of vocation directors representative of all forms of religious life, we have simplified this question substantially from the previous version of Vocation Match. Because many discerners are unfamiliar with the reasons when and why a community may choose to wear a habit or dispense with a habit, the question is fairly broad and leaves room for the vocation director to enlighten a discerner who is not clear on the issue. So the question here is pretty simple. You either wear a habit all or some of the time, or you don't ever wear one. If your community has some members that wear habits all the time and other members who never wear habits, please check both responses. This marks the end of our two-part Vision Vocation Network Advertiser tutorial. Please contact us via the contact menu item at the top of the page if you have further questions or comments. And remember, the more questions you answer, the higher you will rank with discerners when they land on their match results page. And therefore, the more chances you will have of being contacted by new prospects. We thank you for being a part of the Vision Vocation Network and Vocation Match, and hope that our services provide many benefits and blessings in your vocation ministry.